The land of Israel trembled. Villages lay silent, streets empty, homes shuttered. For 20 long years, King Jabin of Canaan and his commander, Sisera, ruled with iron fists and crushing cruelty. The people of Israel avoided the main roads. They whispered in fear, always glancing over their shoulders. At night, the cries of mothers echoed across the hills as raiders stormed their homes. Fields were left untended, trade stopped, and even the bravest men hid, their courage broken. But in this time of despair, God raised up a woman of fire, Deborah. She was not a queen, nor a warrior, but a prophetess filled with God's Spirit. Every day she sat beneath a tall, spreading palm tree between Ramah and Bethel. People came from all corners of Israel, bringing disputes, questions, and tears. Her presence gave hope, her words carried authority, and her eyes shone with unshakable faith. Farmers begged for justice, widows wept for their children, and warriors asked, "How long will God allow this?" But Deborah knew the answer. Israel had turned from God, and now they needed to turn back. One night, as she prayed under the stars, God spoke clearly. The time of deliverance had come. The Lord named the man who would lead the battle, Barak, son of Abinoam from Kadesh. Deborah sent for Barak, and soon he stood before her at the base of the palm. He was tall and strong, but his eyes revealed hesitation. Deborah lifted her voice. "This is what the Lord commands. Gather 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun. March to Mount Tabor. There, God will draw Sisera and his army to the Kishon River, and the Lord will hand him into your hands." The words carried certainty, but Barak's heart trembled. He clenched his fists, lowered his head, and spoke with a wavering voice. "If you go with me, I will go," Barak said. "But if you will not go with me, I will not go." It was not cowardice alone. He feared leading without God's presence, and in Deborah, he saw God's hand. Deborah's gaze was steady, her tone unshaken. "I will go with you. But know this, the honor will not be yours. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." Barak nodded, humbled, and the plan for battle began. Word spread through the tribes, and men began to gather. From farms, from vineyards, from hidden caves, they came with swords, spears, and trembling hearts. Deborah moved among them, speaking words of courage, reminding them of God's promises. At night, campfires lit the slopes of Mount Tabor, and prayers rose like smoke into the heavens. Below, in the valley, Sisera's army of chariots assembled, 900 iron beasts that glinted in the sun. Barak stood at the mountain's edge, looking down at the vast sea of enemies. His breath was heavy, his palms damp, but Deborah's calm voice cut through his fear. "Has not the Lord gone before you?" she asked. Barak inhaled deeply, gripping his sword tighter. The men behind him waited, watching, hearts pounding with anticipation. Then Deborah raised her arm and shouted, "Up! For today the Lord gives Sisera into your hand." With a roar, Barak and 10,000 men charged down the slopes of Mount Tabor. The clash of metal rang out as Israelite swords met Canaanite shields. But suddenly, dark clouds rolled over the sky. Rain poured in torrents, turning the ground into mud. Horses neighed wildly, chariots stuck fast in the mire, wheels spun helplessly. What once gave Sisera power now betrayed him. The Israelites, fueled by faith, struck with boldness they had never known. Cries of the Canaanites filled the valley, drowned by the thunder of the storm. Sisera realized the battle was lost, and panic seized his heart. Abandoning his chariot, Sisera leapt into the mud and ran on foot. His fine robes were soaked, his sandals heavy, but fear pushed him forward. Alone and breathless, he stumbled toward the tents of Heber the Kenite, an ally of King Jabin. There, he saw Jael, Heber's wife, standing at the entrance. She called softly, "Come in, my lord. Do not be afraid." Sisera ducked inside, collapsing onto a mat. Jael covered him with a blanket, her eyes calm but watchful. "Give me water," Sisera gasped, but Jael gave him milk in a skin, soothing him further. Exhaustion overtook him. His breath slowed, his eyes closed. Outside, the sounds of battle faded. Inside, silence thickened. Jael quietly took a tent peg in her hand. She lifted a hammer, her movements deliberate and steady. Kneeling beside the sleeping commander, she positioned the peg at his temple. With one swift, decisive strike, she drove it through. Sisera's reign of terror ended in the stillness of her tent. Soon after, Barak arrived, breathless, searching for Sisera. Jael stepped out to meet him and said, "Come, I will show you the man you seek." Inside, Barak saw the fallen commander and knew God had kept his word. The honor belonged not to him, but to a woman. News spread quickly. Israel had won. Days later, under the bright sun, Deborah and Barak lifted their voices in a song of victory. They praised God for the courage of volunteers, for the storm that crushed the chariots, and for the hand of Jael. Their words rang out. When leaders lead in Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. Villages rejoiced, women danced, and men lifted their hands in worship. Peace returned to Israel. For 40 years, the land rested. No longer did the sound of iron chariots terrify the roads. Families rebuilt their homes, children laughed in the streets, and the fields yielded grain again. Deborah remained a mother to Israel, her palm tree a symbol of wisdom and faith. She had led not with sword, but with courage, faith, and obedience to God. Deborah's story was not about power, but about trust. When men faltered, she stood. When fear reigned, she declared faith. Through her, God showed that he can use anyone, man or woman, to accomplish his will. And Israel remembered her as the woman who rose when no one else would.